Throughout history, free thinkers have outraged the religious with their wacky ideas about the virtues of free speech, reason, and of course, eating babies. Now, God is dying, and it's time to dispose of his remains. From the pits of hell, Satan sends two puppets of the imperialist West and the Zionist Jews against God, Islam, and tiny kittens to bring you their propaganda and conspire for a new world order. This is Secular Jihadists for a Muslim Enlightenment with Ali Rizvi and Armin Navabi.
Welcome everybody to another episode of Secular Jihadists for a Muslim Enlightenment. My name is Ali Rizvi. I'm just coming off a cold, so my voice might sound extra sexy right now. Armin, on the other hand, is still going to sound awkward when he says hello. Armin, hello.
Hello.
How are you? You doing well?
Yes.
Okay, I won't follow that up more.
Yeah. Why do you do this to me every time?
Because I love it. It's just because of this. It's because of this reaction.
Okay.
And we have to introduce both. You have to say hi to the audience.
Yes.
Otherwise, people can't think it's just me. Otherwise, everybody will leave the podcast. But anyway. So today we're gonna have someone that I've been wanting to talk to for a long time because I've been following him a lot, and then Armin has already had conversations with him on other platforms, but we're really glad to have him here. It's the increasingly influential ex-Muslim YouTuber who goes by the Apostate Prophet, and he's got over 150,000 YouTube subscribers. His videos are really well made. They're often very satirical. He really puts his views out there. I don't think you can peg him in any sort of category. He's a truly independent thinker.
I think I would say that right now you're the ex-Muslim with the largest audience out there.
Yeah, on YouTube. Yeah.
No, not just on YouTube. Just in general.
Yeah. Might be. I didn't pay attention to that very much. I don't know.
Yeah, I think more people need to notice that. Like when people think ex-Muslim names, usually we think of Mariam Namazi, Sarah Haider, but you are the biggest ex-Muslim with the biggest audience.
As an individual, yeah.
So people should you should recognize you as one of the celebrities.
What do we call you though? What do we go by? Do we call you Apostate, Prophet, Radwan? Like, how do we go about it?
You can call me whatever you want. I mean, I go obviously by Apostate, Prophet. That's kind of what I made popular. That's what has become popular among people who have been watching me. But I don't know. You can call me AP. That's what some call me. You can call me Radwan, whatever you want.
Okay, that sounds good. So one thing that you say, Radwan or AP, is you say free speech and the criticism of ideas don't harm anyone. Dangerous ideas do. And I think that kind of encapsulates everything that we do. Is because people talk, they say you're criticizing Islam or you're criticizing religion, whatever you're doing, that is a problem. And that is actually not the problem. It's the ideas that are in Islam and in religion overall that are a much bigger problem than criticizing them. So I do agree, and I think that people have it backwards. But before we go on, can you tell us about yourself? Like, how did you become an ex-Muslim? What's your background? How did you get the name Radwan?
Definitely. Well, I was born in Germany into a Turkish Muslim family. So I was raised as a Muslim from birth in Germany in an immigrant family. My parents were very religious people. They are very religious people. They are still alive, and they are Turkish religious people. They are kind of different from how Arabs are very religious. For example, Arabs tend to be more fundamentalistic people, more literalist people. Turkish people, when they are religious, are very often Sufi people, mysticist people. And my parents were also in that corner. They were Sufis, mysticists. But it was a very different mysticist movement. It was one that very much borders at that is very much also literalistic in their interpretation and in their practice of Islam. I grew up in that family. I lived in Germany until I was 16, had to move to Turkey then because my family wanted to move to Turkey. I wasn't very religious normally until the age of 20 or so, when I myself became very religious. It was actually before that. It was like around 18, 19, I don't know. I don't keep numbers and ages in my mind. I have this thing.
Yeah.
But
you were still in Germany at the time you got religious?
no, I was in Turkey at the time. I was like kind of going through this identity crisis in Turkey. I was going through a lot of stuff, trying to fit in, and I don't know how that happened. I just found myself drawn closer to Islam, which I initially thought of as kind of my captor in this situation that I don't want to be in. I didn't want to be in Turkey, but I don't know. I kind of came close to it, and I started liking it. I started studying it more and more. I think it also corresponds with something that happened in my life at that time, which is my aunt, who was very close to me, died at the time. And she was killed by her husband, and we had conversations about religion before. She knew that I was more of a left-leaning teenager kid, and she was kind of talking with me about religion. She was also very religious, but because we talked together so much about religion, when she died, I kind of turned more towards understanding what Islam is and how to live and practice Islam. And I found myself completely into that. I let go of all my political ideas, of all my will to just practice my life as I wish. I started studying Islam, started reading the Quran immediately, started practicing everything word for word as much as I could. And it happened very quickly that I became this very religious guy that people in society kind of think of as, too religious, and they want to. And even if they are Muslims, they kind of don't want to get into religious conversations with you because you are very religious, and they don't want you to have much influence on their own lives. Because,
Same here.
Yeah. I think that happened with you too. But I was in that phase for years. I practiced Islam. I read the Quran 3 times diligently. I mean, I didn't just read it through. I sat down and spent hours just reading just several pages every day, studying the Quran. I read. No, I didn't even do tafsir. I didn't have the thing at the time. I mean, I looked at tafsirs at that time, but I didn't honestly think, and I know this is not in agreement with most of Islamic thinking, but I didn't think that the tafsirs would necessarily give me the right answer that I'm looking for in the Quran.
But were you reading it? What were you reading? Translations? Did you learn it in the original Arabic? Like how did you go about it?
I did read it in translations. I read it in Turkish.
There
compared.
You go. That's why you didn't get the pure version. That's why you're an ex-Muslim now.
I compared the Turkish translations to other translations. I read it in German, compared it to English, and I also had a basic understanding of the Arabic language because I was always interested in linguistics, and always cared about different languages. So I also had an adaptation of how Arabic works, how the works are, and there's a lot of interaction between Muslim cultures that speak different languages and the Arabic language. There's a lot of words going in and out. But beside that, I used to compare it with Arabic too as well. Yeah, but I don't know. For years, I studied Islam. I practiced Islam. I wanted to spread it to others. I did so much. I was so devout. I used to pray every night that Allah don't take my religiosity away, that Allah kill me before I lose my path and stuff like that. It was weird.
That is so similar to my prayer.
Oh, I know.
Wow. Okay. Like this is what I'm today. It was back my worst nightmare at that time.
Yeah.
I would have killed myself a million times to make sure that what happened today does not happen. But go on.
I had that thing, I had these moments where I thought I changed my mind about things before. When I think about things, I might think them through and change them. And I don't want that same thing to happen to Islam, because I know that Islam is the truth and I believe in it with all my heart, and I'm devout and I love Allah and I love following what Muhammad said and so on. So I was like praying day and night that doesn't happen, but eventually it did happen, which is crazy. But yeah. I don't know. It came to a point when I was reading the Quran, on all occasions, whenever I read the Quran, I had specific doubts about things that I read in the Quran. And they were, mostly it wasn't about moral issues. It was about theological issues, about logical issues, and scientific facts and other facts that the Quran seemingly misrepresents, which I thought at the time, but didn't want to believe because you are not supposed to think that. You're not even supposed to go there with your mind. But I kept questioning things more and more, and just didn't get answers to those issues. I looked at tafsirs eventually. I didn't get answers. I looked at what scholars of our time say about specific things. No answers. I looked at online apologetics, online forums, this and that. No answers. Most of the answers are just answers given to satisfy your own belief and to kind of explain why you have to believe in this. And that just didn't satisfy me, because I was never someone who just accepts a response just to keep holding on to something that I innerly know is not right. So eventually that whole questioning led me out of Islam, and I think together combined with Islam's moral issues that I just couldn't unite my mentality, my head with, since I grew up in Germany and since I liked how German society was and how free women are, how people can do whatever they want. It eventually led me to stop believing in Islam. And I still remember that moment where I was completely convinced that I don't believe anymore. And I needed to say it to myself and say loudly to myself, I am not a Muslim. No, I don't believe in Allah. I don't believe in Islam. I'm not a Muslim. And that was the moment where I thought, okay.
Wow. You remembered the actual moment.
Yeah, because I had this thing,
he made it a moment. That's what
I had to make it a moment. I had to acknowledge that I really don't believe in it anymore, together with all the factors considered, and then I had to speak it out.
Were you scared or felt liberated, free, or panicked?
I think I was scared. I was always scared. I was even scared after I stopped believing for a while. Although I was entirely sure that I didn't believe anymore. But at the same time, I felt relief. That moment when I said that, I remember I was standing outside. I was about to go into the house, but I stood there just for a second, just to do that, and said it to myself. And then I felt relief. And for the first few days and weeks, I just felt complete relief. And then a phase started that is not very pleasant, that many people know who stopped believing in Islam, who stopped believing in religion.
Wait, what's that phase? Yeah, go on.
Well, that's sex.
No. That was much later, but a phase of depression started actually after a while, when I started thinking about the meaning of life, what I have wasted my life on. I thought even when I wasn't religious, even when I wasn't very much religious, I was still someone who appreciated the teachings that you hear from your parents or from your local imam or from the Quran or this and that. I still respected things. I never wanted to disrespect belief. So and I spent so many years on practicing and studying and learning it and doing it. And when I suddenly let go and had my fun just exploring the world without belief now, I then realized, so did I just spend the last 20-something years building the fundamentals of my life on something that is a complete lie? Is all of this just false? All of that means nothing at all, and there's nothing to it. And that kind of caused a big phase of depression where I really, I don't know, it was tough. But eventually I came out of that. And
how did you come out of that? Here. Why?
I don't know. It's even tough talking about.
Yeah.
I had this thing one day. I was coming back from work. I was thinking a lot about the world, about why we are alive, about the meaning of life, and stuff like that. And at that same day, I went home, and on TV there was this show where they were talking about near-death experiences. And there was of course the perfect thing to watch in such a mood, And I looked at what people say about near-death experiences. I found out later that it's complete garbage, but I was thinking about it in the moment, and it just made me go totally into this mood where I just had these endless monotones in my head, and we're just thinking that everything is meaningless, everything is bullshit, nothing makes sense. What is the meaning to all of this? What is the meaning to going on anymore? And I went to my room and stood at the window. I was on the 6th floor or so, stood at the window and thought, this is it, man. And I stood there and I really just wanted to jump. And I thought, this is the end. I don't have time for this anymore. But I don't know, something changed in the moment. I thought about my mother, about how she would feel for the rest of her life if I really did this. I didn't know if I wanted to care about that anymore, but I still had that feeling of love and compassion left. But I also thought this can't be it. I mean, if I made all of that through for so many years, and if I studied all of that, if I practiced all of that, if I devoted myself to that, it can't be for nothing. I have to do something out of this. I have to do something better in the future. I have to do something good for me now. I have realized something. I have opened my eyes. Now is the time to start living my life for myself and to do great things, to do good things in the world, and I wasn't at that point. I wasn't yet thinking to go out there and to talk about Islam to people, but I think that decision eventually was also part of what started that day. But yeah, that day I kind of decided that everything will be fine, and now I'm here.
Yeah, Ridwan, did you have like when you were going through all of this, did you know that there were other ex-Muslims out there? Did you know that there may have been? I mean, I don't know when this is, like how long ago, but that there's a community where there are other people like you. Did you try to seek them out? Because I know earlier you went online to find apologists or anybody else to kind of get information. So did you seek out other people who were in your situations?
I didn't.
In your situation?
I didn't. I didn't have the thought at the time. I think at that time I was kind of trying to live more of my life, but I was also looking into stuff still at the time. I think I didn't. That was a time where I didn't yet come where I hadn't come to the conviction that God doesn't exist altogether. I think the whole thing then was that I don't believe in Allah, that Islam was absurd, and that I don't believe in Islam anymore. So I was still looking into God stuff, into Christianity and Judaism, into atheistic stuff. And at that time, I started looking at online criticism, but I couldn't find really very much about Islam. I couldn't really find very much from ex-Muslims, and that kind of also motivated me later to go and do something, because I realized that there is so much anti-Christianity stuff. There are so many people talking about Christianity on Instagram, on Facebook, here and there, everywhere. It's all fun and good, but there is basically nothing about Islam. And when there is something about Islam, it's mostly not accurate. I thought it's propaganda. It's anti-Islamic propaganda that is not entirely that doesn't entirely represent the reality of Islam.
Do you have an example?
I don't know. I saw a lot of that taqiyya stuff, for example. The whole issue about taqiyya. And I thought, come on, God. Man. That's.
Most ex-Muslims hear about taqiyya after they leave Islam.
Yeah.
It's not a big. I don't know, but people.
Because all the non-Muslims come bombard with it because they're like, "Oh, you're ex-Muslim. You're just doing taqiyya." I'm like, "What the fuck is taqiyya?"
And I think now Muslims are also learning about taqiyya because of all these anti-Muslims talking about it. Yeah. And now the Shias are accusing Sunnis about taqiyya, and Sunnis accusing Shias. But I think they learned it from non-Muslims.
Armin, do you want to explain what taqiyya is? Audience members,
you're the perfect person to explain that.
Well, I mean, just a basic version of it. Taqiyya is mostly a Shia thing. Sunnis do have some milder version of it, but honestly, it's not even that bad. There's two versions of it. One of them is seen as kind of okay. It's kind of like a white lie. So the reason why, it's a lie. But it's a lie to save your own skin, right? And the reason why it's more popular among Shias is because Sunnis were in power all the time, and the Shias were prosecuted by Sunnis. Persecuted, sorry, I always get these wrong. But then the Shias were given this permission by their imams, by their religious leaders, that, listen, if you have to say you believe something that you don't believe just to stay alive, you could go ahead and say it, right? So that's taqiyya from to basically a white lie to save your life. But that's a version that everybody could be like, yeah, okay, that makes sense, right? If somebody's going to kill you because you don't believe in their religion, then you could tell them that you do. But the version that the version of Taqiyya that most people are sensitive about, and this is something that Sunnis blame Shias on a lot because this is the one that pisses them off, is that Taqiyya that if you say, even if you're not in fear of death, if you need to promote your religion, you can omit a few things to make the promotion process easier, right? Like if your audience is not ready to hear certain things, if your life is not under threat, don't lie, but you also don't have to, you can lie by omission by not saying something just because they're not ready to hear it, right? And Sunnis are like, oh look, Shias are lying to you about their religion. This is the taqiyya that we have a problem in. But Shias will be like, no, this is what everybody does. This is good promotion. This is good marketing, right? If you're talking, for example, about atheism, you don't go like you say like, listen, there's no evidence for God. You don't say like, hey, listen, your mom is dead and you're never gonna see her again. Like you don't start with that line. So we're like, no, that version of taqiyya is also okay. So, anyways, that's what taqiyya is.
Yeah. But so Roland, another thing I just wanted to, just in terms of your life story, because I think it's fascinating. You were born in Germany. When did you move to Turkey? When you were a kid, or
older? When I was 16 years old. Yeah.
Okay, so you were going through all of these changes, and then you said your family was sort of a conservative, that's a literalist sort of version of the mystic tradition, and which you have in Turkey, the whirling dervishes and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So they, how is your relationship with them? How accepting were they of this? And do you have any brothers, sisters, or anything like that went through a similar journey? Or
well, the funny thing is, I never told my parents about leaving Islam. I think they still don't know to this day. They somehow didn't see all my YouTube activity. I don't know.
They're not one of the 150,000.
Are you serious?
No, they still see it.
Wait, your parents still don't know that you left Islam?
They don't. I feel.
I thought they're like. They're mystics. They're not Amish.
No, the thing is, I mean, my parents wouldn't come and kill me over that. They wouldn't. They wouldn't check me. They wouldn't do anything like that. I mean, they don't believe in stuff like that.
Wouldn't somebody text them or tell them on Facebook?
Probably no one told them. I don't know. But I think what they would do is they would probably call me in anger, talk with me about it for a second, for a few minutes, and then they would probably, after I explained what happened, they would probably shun me. I mean, they wouldn't talk to me anymore. I guess for a while. That's what I think would happen. They could also be harassing me about this whole issue, which would be more pleasant, actually. I don't know. But I don't know what would happen. I didn't tell them because I know how religious they are, how serious they take all this stuff. I know how emotional my mother is, which is why I just didn't have the thing to tell her. But I kind of think it's a shame on my side, and I should be telling them. If I do all of this, if I go out here and talk to people about Islam, then I should definitely also be going to my parents and telling them that I left Islam, which is why I decided to do that in the near future. I will definitely do that, and I wonder what will happen.
I'm still shocked by the idea that they don't even know. Like given how well known you are, I would assume that somebody would recognize you and tell your parents about it.
I think it's also because, but for the longest time, I just knew you as Apostate prophet. I didn't really know. I hadn't even seen your face. No, but people would see their.
What do you mean? Every video is his face, right? So.
No, I saw him on Instagram and on Twitter. I'm not a big YouTube guy, but
right.
That's
but
why.
I'm just saying,
so I came around to
given
YouTube
that
later.
How big he is on YouTube, I'm just assuming if somebody would see him and be like, "Oh, isn't this your son?" Like, how is it that? You're muted.
Oh, you're muted, Ridwan. I can't hear you.
Okay.
Yeah,
I just pushed the button by mistake.
What did you say?
Yeah, I thought too. They would have probably heard by now. Someone should have told them, but
maybe they know and they're just pretending that it's not happening. They just don't want to believe it.
I think about that might be the case, but I don't think my mom would be able to hide that.
Right.
I really don't believe that.
But do you still talk to them regularly?
I do. Yeah.
What about siblings? Do you have any brothers, sisters, or anything?
Yeah, I have a brother and a sister. I didn't tell them much either.
Mo is asking, what do they think you do then?
Well, they know that I have become less religious. I mean, they were very happy when I
for work. Like, do they?
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't tell them specific. Well, the thing is, when I first came to America, I came to America only 2 years ago. When I came here, I was doing translation work and translating, interpreting, captioning, and stuff like that. I was doing that for companies, self-employed. So I told them that at the time, and I didn't ever since tell them about any change. So everything is fine.
So they would be it would be enough for them to know that you left Islam for them to get really, really upset. But
it would be to them like I'm dead, I think.
But not only you left Islam, you're one of the leading figures in bringing other people out of Islam. So I don't know how.
No, that's the thing. I think I should tell them. I should tell them that I left Islam. I think, okay, it's time to tell them that I left Islam. And then I think, wait, but that's not the only thing. I also have to tell them what I'm doing.
Oh shit!
It's like I haven't just left Islam. I'm out there. This is like
that's the issue.
I'm at war with
I'll
Islam.
stomach that a bit, but doing this, I'm like this big enemy of Islam now.
Hey, I gotta tell you something. I wanna.
Wait,
go ahead.
I want to just tell you. I don't know if I ever told you. My mom, when I started Atheist Republic, she actually went to Imam Zadeh and she did a prayer for me to be successful in my war against religion to God.
My mom also said when my book came out, she said, "Inshallah, it'll do well." Like it is, but okay. So that actually brings me to something that Ridwan. I mean, since you haven't told your parents yet, I don't know if this might be comforting to you or not. But in the last like 10, 11 years since I started doing this, I remember when I first met other ex-Muslims when they started sort of really emerging and coming out of the closet. I used to go to some of the meetups we had, and almost all of them were closeted. Their parents, many of them had disowned them. And then after a few years, I saw that many of their parents actually came around. Mm-hmm. Eventually, with time, some of them got married, gay. Others had kids, and they started. I'm not all of them. I'm not saying that all of them came around, but it takes I think it's sort of like when you come out as gay.
Yeah.
Like
Well, the thing is, I think it would happen with my family as well. They would eventually eventually accept the fact that this happened. I mean, they have accepted different things ever since my leaving of Islam as well. So they will probably come to accept this as well after a while.
Wait, I have a strategy. I have a strategy. Would your parents be more upset if you came out as gay or ex-Muslim?
I don't know.
Because
you come out as gay first.
No, you come out as gay, and then once they get really upset, you're like, okay, now it's not that bad.
Kidding.
It's not that bad, okay? I left Islam, but at least I'm straight.
Yeah, that's what you should do. It was my strategy. There's one time I was on when online dating and all that stuff first came out. So I went on it for a bit, and I just told everybody that I weighed a lot. I was really, really overweight and stuff. So that when they met me, I didn't seem as fat. Right? It was that kind of thing. And it worked out really. It was the opposite of, when you see somebody's picture and then you go and meet them and they're like super fat. This was the other way around. So
there is at least something positive that you present instead. In my case, I give them something bad and then I give them something horrible instead as a truth. I'm currently writing a book, so I thought maybe it would be an idea to translate the book and give my mother my book, and that's how I declare that I left Islam.
Well, that would be great.
Yeah, you
know what? That is a good way to do it.
Yeah,
I gotta say.
And should put it to your parents at the beginning, so at least they would be proud. Like just be like to your mom and to your dad at the front page, right? Like say something nice about them. So maybe they get it's a bittersweet thing that they have to be like.
I thought about it.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
But you know what? I think that is the book thing is better because. You get to show your work. First of all, they can't respond to a book while they're reading it. When you're having a live argument, they have emotional reactions, and then you can feed off of their emotional reactions. It can become like more of an argument or an issue.
See?
But if you just give them a book and they just have to read the whole thing through first before talking to you, then at least they'll know what your thought process is.
No, but that's what I was saying. Like, okay, so see, this is my book. This is what I did. Like, look at to my dad, to my mom.
Yeah.
Right. So you could do this as well. And it will go. Maybe they will accept it.
Yeah. That's a good idea. I don't know.
So,
I
so
thought it-
I said,
talk-
this is
talk
what I
about-
said. This is what I said. I said to dad, who showed me the value of learning, to mom, who showed me the value of caring.
That's nice.
Aw,
That's
that's beautiful.
it is.
So, Ridwan, what is your book? Do you have a title? Is there anything? Is this news? Have you talked about it before? Or?
I did talk about a specific thing that I was writing. The thing is, I'm writing 2 books at the same time. I don't know which one I will publish first, but I thought about one book analyzing Islam. You know, I've been doing this for so long now on YouTube and other things. I mean, a year, if that is long. But I thought I could put everything down into a book and write a complete book about analyzing the Quran and Islam and the future of Islam, what will happen to Islam, and stuff like that. I thought it's a very good idea. I have a brilliant title for the book
What?
that I don't want to make public yet. But
Why?
I don't know.
Why are you calling the book that I
might-
don't want to make public yet? It's a weird title. That's a terrible bad joke. Anyway, go on. Whatever.
Worst, okay.
You can't strangle me because we're in.
I know. I'm kind of conflicted.
No, but
I
you think if somebody somebody might steal it, because if you announce it publicly, then nobody can steal it because you already announced it.
no, there is no copyright on that.
I know, but it's such a shitty thing to do. Like, people could call out the author.
It would be a very shitty thing to do. Yeah.
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 Now, I have to think about that. Maybe during the rest of our conversation, I might think that I'll just say that.
What about the other book? What's the other book about?
The other book is about me. I thought about writing the analysis of Islam stuff first, and then the other one later, which is my memoir. But then I thought maybe it's a better idea to make my memoir first, which is in which I would introduce my backstory, my knowledge with Islam to the public. You know, in which I would talk about how I experienced Islam, what I made through. At what stages what Islam did to me, and you know how I saw it from my perspective, how I grew up with it. I think it would be interesting to present my point of view in Germany as an immigrant Muslim family, how I learned Islam there, and then you know how I don't know. That's about that. It's a memoir.
Yeah, I don't know, free advice, unsolicited advice. I would go with the memoir first. Like what we've talked about. We talked about this earlier about storytelling. People connect with storytelling if they know who you are and they connect with you as at an identity level, as a person with a story, as a human being. Then people are usually more receptive to ideas after that. So I think that I just generally with ex-Muslims, one of the most powerful things has been their stories. If you look at the XM&A videos and everything like that, I mean, people really, really connect with stories a lot more than ideas. First.
Yeah, I thought, I don't know, for some reason I thought I should do the whole analysis thing first, but then I thought I would be much happier to write my memoir first, because I have so much on my mind that I would like to say there.
Yeah.
Have you had somebody is asking? Mo is asking. Have you had any issues with doxing? Oh yeah,
No.
somebody called an FBI on you actually.
Oh yeah, there was a story that I don't know. We had a long back and forth with that guy. He took something that I said online and completely misinterpreted it deliberately and made it like I had committed a crime and called the FBI on me. The FBI came to my door and the guy came and said, "Hey, we received a call. I just came to check on you. I saw that was the funny thing. The FBI guy the FBI agent comes, visits me because someone called the FBI on me, and then he sits down with me and says that he saw that a lot of people have problems with me because of what I'm doing, and he wants to offer his help. And he gave me his card and his number and said, if you ever feel like you have any credible threats coming your way or anything of concern at all, call me.
Oh, that's nice.
I'll help you immediately. You know, that was awesome.
So before we went on air, you mentioned that you mentioned two things that I wanted to bring up. I don't know which one to start first, but the main. Okay, you mentioned that you have changed your mind on a few things, and you're changing directions on some things. Like what is that? Do you wanna get into that?
I'm not really changing directions. I have been doing this thing. I'm publishing a video tomorrow or the next day, a giant project, which is the scientific mistakes of the Quran, all of them, which is something that hasn't been done before. And I wanted to sit down and make an entire video explaining all the scientific mistakes in the Quran. It's a 1-hour project, and it took me so much time. I've been working it for a very long time now. So I kind of leaned back, didn't make any videos, had a lot of time to think, to read the Quran, to prepare this video, and to think about a lot of other things. So when I wasn't out there on YouTube all the time, I thought a little bit more about my whole perspective on politics, on religions in general. I don't know. It's not a very big deal, actually. What I kind of concluded was that I worked a lot together in the past with the right wing in politics. I worked a lot together with them. I worked a lot to support them where needed, to agree with them where I thought agreeing would be the rational thing to do, the pragmatic thing to do. But I kind of realized that it's probably not really the way to go in my case, because I noticed that many people, and I know some people might get upset about that, but it's just something I've noticed, that many figures on the right don't really care about me as an ex-Muslim, for example, or about you as an ex-Muslim, or about Ali Rizvi as an ex-Muslim. They would likely give us a platform for 5 minutes, because they want us to add to their negative thoughts about the specific culture and the specific religion. Other than that, they don't really see us as people who deserve much of their support or their attention. I noticed this recently because I had this issue where I was banned from Twitter, and other people were banned from Twitter. Other people were banned from YouTube, and so on. There was a row of some ex-Muslims who got banned from Twitter and from YouTube, including me. This Hamid Abdel. What's his name?
Summit, yeah.
Abdel Summit.
Who will be on this show, by the way, later in the month.
Wonderful.
He's booked.
You should have a talk with me too. But I saw that around those times, the same people who go out and publicly always cry about censorship and cry about how this guy is censored and this person is censored and this voice is shut down, completely ignored the whole issue of how ex-Muslims are being shut down. Even people who have been leading this whole conversation about how YouTube and Twitter are censoring people have completely ignored my calls or the calls of others who have pointed out that ex-Muslims are being silenced, for example, because they because to them it wasn't, we weren't the right people.
Right. In fact, the help that you got was mostly from left wing.
Yeah. Richard Dawkins helped me. You helped me. Seth Andrews helped me. Ali, you helped me. Left. So
all of them left. So the champions of free speech that were supposed to be anti-censorship, they weren't there to be found. And some left So this is why I haven't given up on the left, by the way, because a lot of them do support free speech. So.
Well, I never thought that the left was entirely to blame for this. I think we have a problem with a specific circle of progressive people who cause problems in society.
Honestly, it's a Twitter left and it's a Twitter right. It's all on.
No. It's not.
I wouldn't even say the left. I'm thinking of them more as a specific circle among progressives. Right. Not all progressives, only a specific circle among progressives. Not even all liberals, not all lefts. I don't think of it that way. But there is a big problem there, and they are much louder.
I don't bash Twitter as much as Ali does. But anyways.
I love Twitter.
But I don't want to get into how good or bad.
I'm talking about the kind of people from both parties who end up on there.
But what I notice also from a lot of right wing people, this is why whenever I get invited on right wing platform, I actually start shitting on right wing narratives a little bit. I learned that from Ali, by the way. And whenever I'm on left wing platform, I start shitting on left wing narratives.
Shitting on their narratives. Yeah. But, leave them uncomfortable.
Yeah, exactly. But
leave everybody uncomfortable.
See, but what I notice is that right-wing people just it's not, they don't like, they jump on anything anti-Islamic, whether if it's, this is why they're so obsessed with Sharia. It doesn't matter if it's true or not. It's anti-Islamic, okay? Who cares if it's true, okay? They just jump on, and I think it's not really about anti-Islam for them. I think they just, I've noticed that they just don't like Muslims, as people, I think. Like, I think it's not really about criticizing ideas and calling bullshit on bad ideas. I just think they're uncomfortable with a certain group of people, and they just don't like, they just disgusted by them, and this anti-Islam thing is just maybe an excuse.
No. I would still not say that that's a prominent position on the right. I would say it is definitely
not the right,
that can...
not some people on the right. Just like I don't want to blame the entire left for these like regressives, right? I'm not saying the right has so many good people and the left has so many good people, right? We're talking about these regressive leftists and these I don't know, alt-right, I don't know what you want to call them. Like, yeah.
It reminds me of a thing that some publications and some people used to say, or still occasionally say, which is that they respond to this whole they say, for example, they bring up that criticizing Islam or this whole anti-Islam thing or Islamophobia is racist, and then people answer that it's not racist because Islam is not a race, and then these people have been bringing up something like, yes, it is not a race, but it is still racist because very often. Or they try to depict it as almost all the time, or too often, or most of the time. Anti-Islamic sentiments are fueled by, or are motivated mostly by racism. They try to make this. They try to propose that is the case, but I don't think that is remotely true. It is. I think it is.
It's not remotely true for most people, but it is for some people.
It is.
I think it's a minority position among the right.
But so is the regressive left.
What?
But so is the regressive left is also a minority.
Of course. I would say.
Yeah.
So
the crazy left is a minority among the left, and the racist right is a tiny minority among the right as well.
So I have two like new views about this. First of all, I think the situation has gotten more complicated. I think this whole idea that we're criticizing Islam and not demonizing Muslims, that is something that was true for a while. We were doing it, but now there's a lot of people who are anti-Muslim bigots, genuinely anti-Muslim bigots who have figured out, huh?
No. So keep going.
No, what did you say? Yeah. I want to know.
Oh, I'm saying that there are a lot of people who are genuine anti-Muslim bigots and genuine racists who are now beginning to find that line is useful. That it's not we're against Islam. We're not against. It's like a lot of the Islamic apologists who say no, we're against Zionism. We're not against Judaism, the Jews, but they are actually speaking from an anti-Semitic position. So that, first of all, that phenomenon is real. The second thing I've started thinking differently about is this whole idea of minorities. I mean, there are people. Yes, it's a minority. Like the what they're saying right now. Like people are confused by, say, the polling on the Democratic side, where Biden is still leading and Sanders and Warren are still not doing as well. But on Twitter, they're massive. So it turns out that about 70% of the Democratic electorate is actually not on Twitter. So there are minorities, but they're very vocal and influential minorities.
And they're more interesting. That's why they get more coverage.
Right. So, and they can elect presidents who is also elected by a minority of people, but they still have that kind of power. So I think that complicates the picture more than just saying, what's happening out there, what's not.
Yeah, and Ridwan, you're saying it's not a big deal, but I think it is a big deal for him. I think this is a very similar situation with the regressive left and these crazy right-wing people. Not all of right-wing people, okay? And maybe I shouldn't say crazy because no offense to actual crazy people, but I don't know. They're not all of them alt-right. I'm not even that extreme. Just a lot of people that I think that they have both the regressive left and some people on the right have an interest in saying, okay, bad ideas, therefore fear these people, or no, these good people, therefore their ideas are good as well. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think merging the ideas with the identity serves both the regressive left and some people on the right,
Exactly.
because the regressive left wants to merge the idea with the people, so that if you go against the idea, you become one of those bigots, because now you're attacking a group of people, and it serves the interests of these people on the right as well, because they want to be like, okay, so these ideas are bad, therefore fear the people. Right, so we hate the people, right? So both have both are interested in merging the people with their idea and making that as major part of their identity.
Yeah.
Definitely. But I still think mostly because because this is so prominently pointed out by people on the left that this whole thing is somehow motivated by bigotry and racism. We are talking about something that is really not that important in society, because it's only represented by a very tiny minority among the right, just as it is presented among a very tiny minority among the left. You know, I don't even want to use the term alt-right, because the term alt-right is a joke term that is being used by.
Now, yeah.
What should we use? Give me a term then. I don't know.
The thing is, the whole alt-right thing was a giant stupid joke. You know, real alt-right people, real people who identify with being alt-right. Do exist, and they are a tiny minority that no one cares about. You know, no one cares about them. They're like 5 people among millions, and people
but they have become very. I know they're extremely fringe group, but they have become extremely powerful because of the regressive left, because they now make clown emojis and OK symbols, Nazi symbols, where people are blurring this, you know, OK symbol, okay? So there are 5 or 6 people, but because of the fear-mongering of the regressive left, they have 5 or 6 people have managed to, show a lot of influence over our entire culture.
And that pendulum has turned. That pendulum has turned back too. So it also works the other way around. That the regressive left, when all of that happened, then these far right types came into power, and suddenly their narrative started getting so ridiculous that the regressive left now has more like the Bernie people and all of these people now aligning with Linda Sarsour, right? They have empowered the regressive left too. So both of these things, they just keep on, the pendulum keeps swinging back and forth.
The pendulum is going so back the other way that now the Generation Z is saying that they're homophobic actually. Like, do you know that tolerance for gay? I thought LGBT tolerance could only go up. Right, but apparently it's going backward. It's going down. Like this is so the social justice warrior, whatever you call them, these people were an overcorrection to real problems, and now now we're getting overcorrection to social justice warriors by going actually back to racism and back to homophobia as a correction
and back to
it is happening. No, there is recent data showing that.
Recent data shows that in these heated times that we are currently in, especially among young people, there are unpleasant ideas represented by many people, and I think that is mostly just the case because we are currently in very crazy times, where the countries, where America, for example, is extremely divided by a very polarizing president.
It's not that crazy. United States had a civil war.
Who fought his candidacy against another polarizing candidate from the Democrats. People are not actually becoming worse. I mean, older people who are becoming more mature are becoming more. More
I think there's a clash of backlashes.
I wasn't. No. There is a pendulum, but I wasn't suggesting that things are crazy. Like this amount of fear mongering from Nazis and. This was nothing compared to the fear mongering that we had against communists during the Red Scare, right? Like this is nothing compared to that. We had people with that. We had the government was involved in arresting people just because they had a picture of you shaking someone's hands at that party that. Then you were being investigated. So imagine, we're not even close to that. So we have experienced worse than this in the United States.
The thing is, there's a whole bunch of things that have happened within a few years, right? You've had, this is why I like to call this the clash of backlashes, right? So you had, first of all, you had a black president. You had the legalization of same-sex marriage, everywhere, happening like dominoes. and you had the whole Me Too thing. You had all of this stuff happening within a few years. So there was a backlash by conservatives against all of these sort of progressive things. And then what happened is that that backlash became accentuated and rose to prominence in the form of Trump and all of these other sort of right-wing victories. And now there's a backlash against that from the left. And this is all it is. The culture wars is just basically, you have these backlashes. People were backlashing against one thing.
Like
and
pendulums,
against
like these, like I'm not...
it's nothing to be... I don't think that it's anything unprecedented. Yeah. And all of this clashes with social media where every fucking idiot in the world has a voice.
Yeah.
And
that has become a problem. We are all talking now, and no one really understands what's going on. And
problem and a solution.
It happens. That's happened before, right? I mean,
we shouldn't be complaining. Like, we wouldn't have all the platforms that we have if we didn't have YouTube and Facebook. And
That's true.
There's always... technology's always disrupted the way that we remember things. So, first, when you had memory, you had the oral tradition, and then people started writing things down. So when people wrote things down, there was suddenly a record of things that people may not have normally remembered, right? So that changed the way things were. Now you have social media, which is documenting that even more. So this kind of thing has happened before. It causes disruptions, but eventually life moves on. I mean, it's not as big a deal.
I think this is something amazing. We are going through massive change right now. I mean, I think people greatly underestimate it and don't even realize where we are in the history of human development right now. The internet is the best thing that has happened in history. We are skyrocketing in social development, toward the future. This is amazing. That
That's what I told David Wood. He said he thinks everything is going to shit. I told him everything is getting better.
No, it's nothing going to shit. It's just you have progress is 2 steps forward, 1 step back. It's just when you're in a backlash can feel like a movement a lot. When you're in it, you can't tell, like and they can be deadly too. Like the World War II, the Holocaust, all of that. I mean, this was just Hitler was only around for a few years, but it was a massive backlash against.
Be careful, Ali. YouTube is going to destroy us.
Why be careful? We're all being ourselves. At the end of World War I, all of the remnants and the way that Europe was divided and all that stuff. I mean, there was remnants to that. There was a backlash to all of that, and that came in the form of Hitler, and then he had his big fucking, very, very damaging, very devastating tantrum, and then it died out, but it still was a tantrum. It was a tantrum with lasting effects. So backlashes can be very deadly, they can be very damaging, and they can be historically very powerful, but they're still backlashes. It's just hard to tell when you're in there.
Ridwan, you also mentioned that you're changing if it's your because a lot of your audience, unlike our audience, right? Most people that watch like secular jihadists or other ex-Muslims, like ex-Muslims of North America, their community is all atheists, right? They don't have Christian ex-Muslims. Our audience, I'm guessing, is 99% atheist, right? Or at least secular. By the way, shout out to any Muslims or Christians or anybody else that is listening, Hindu that's listening to us. So, don't leave us. I'm not trying. You're welcome. But I think like your audience is a lot more diverse than ours. Like you have probably equal number of Christians, atheists, and
I made a poll about that actually. It's like wait, let me see that actually. I don't know, it's around like 30% Christians, 30% atheists, 30% Hindus or so. It's a very interesting number. It amazed me how these different groups with different beliefs all come together and are among my audience, on near equal levels.
So does that make does that affect your decision and what content you make? Like, do you stay away from like certain things about your not being an atheist sometimes, or like what do you think?
No, the thing is, I had that idea from the very beginning when I created my YouTube channel. I thought, if I'm going to talk about these things, I was really, I have to say this, this goes in so many ways. But when I looked at people who talk about Islam, especially people who are ex-Muslims and talk about Islam, I saw that that so many include a specific political message into their talk, into their messages, and that kind of divides the audience. That kind of pushes people away, pulls some closer, but pushes much more people away. And I thought, if I go out there and talk about Islam to the public, then I will talk about Islam, not about anything else. I will criticize Islam. I will point out what is wrong with Islam. I will explain why I point out what is wrong with Islam and why I only focus on that. And I did that so far. I never thought I have to be quiet about specific things, because otherwise my audience would be upset. It is something that I did from the very beginning, which is why this audience formed like this, as it is today. But recently, I thought I should go into answering some questions that people had. I mean, we talked about this before the show, which is. I know people have been wondering why I don't believe in God, if I believe in Christianity, if I would believe in Christianity, for example. And I thought for such a long time, for more than half a year, if I should just make a video explaining my whole thought on religion and disbelief and God and whether God exists or not. So I thought maybe it's a good idea to finally do this. I have now come to the phase where.
So you're announcing it here for the first time, right? So you're gonna make the first. This is gonna be the first video that is not specifically targeted at Islam, but just gonna talk about religion and God as a whole. Yeah,
don't misunderstand me. I'm not going to change the line of stuff that I'm doing. I won't start going after all religions. I still don't do that. I won't do that. I still think that I shouldn't be criticizing the belief in God. I don't criticize the Muslims' belief in God. I criticize only Islam for its ridiculousness and aggressiveness. But I will, for the first time ever, talk about why I don't believe in God. In general.
Here's what I have a problem.
What is Here's
the way, because
I was going to say what's a reservation, but go ahead, Armin.
Well, his reservation is because he wants to focus on Islam because he sees that as where the most of the harm coming from. But so you said that one shouldn't criticize people's belief in God. I
didn't say that.
You just said that.
No, I said I shouldn't.
I should. Okay. Yeah. But you don't. But do you think you shouldn't, or do you think like it's not worth it for anybody to do it?
No, I think it's perfectly fine for people to do it. I mean,
fine. This I'm not splitting hairs here, but is it just fine, or is it a good idea for other people to do it?
I think it's a good idea to criticize anything.
Okay.
I think it is a good idea to criticize anything, no matter if it's good, no matter if it's bad, because any kind of criticism always brings something good forth. I said before, I say this quite often that I like Voltaire, who was a ridiculously offensive person. In history, he was extremely offensive. He would be by today's standards, because we have become so weirdly sensitive, he would be considered absolutely racist, disgusting, hateful, bigoted, whatever, because of his.
He was also anti-Semitic, and he was like all of that.
Yeah, he was. He was anti-Christian, anti-Muslim, anti-everything.
Yeah, he was a lot of bad things, but he was the value.
Yeah, he was.
But he did.
But I like what he represents.
I love every.
I love what he represents too.
I like what he represents. He introduced the idea that you can just talk very, very publicly unacceptable stuff about pretty much anything, and people should just not silence you for that, or kill you for that, or torture you for that. You should be able to say those things, and it should give people the idea to listen to that and maybe to take something from it, no matter how offensive or how unacceptable it is. And I just think the same way about everything. I think it's totally fine for Muslims, for example. I really want Muslims to come out and to explain to me that atheism is stupid, that I'm following something.
Yeah, that would be great.
I want them to ration, to come out and talk about it. I want to give them a platform and to justify their belief and to talk about this.
Yeah, this is so interesting because they come and say like, hey, listen, why are you attacking Islam? We don't attack atheism. I'm like, please do.
Please do.
We want
do it.
Like we want you. Like this is what we're desperate for you guys to attack atheism. Like, why do you think that they think they're doing us a favor by not attacking atheism?
Yeah, like we're not gonna. But Ridwan, so when you so I want to ask you, one thing about this, and I'm going to push back a little bit about this whole thing about you saying that you shouldn't criticize God, and you don't go there. And I'm fine with not treating all religions equally. I think that's perfectly okay. Religions are not the same. I think that's a mistake to treat them all equally. But people say that the problem is terrorism. It's not Islam, right? I don't think you can talk about Islamic terrorism without talking about Islam and the ideology. So in the same way, when people say the problem is Islam, it's not faith or religion or belief in God. I don't think that you can talk about Islam in isolation from belief in the divine, belief in revelation as a way to get to the truth, belief in having faith without evidence, because that is the stuff that leads to really harmless things, yes, but it also leads to people who do jihad and who believe things because they think revelation and divine authority is a great source of things to get to the truth. So how can you? Well, I mean that's what I'm saying. Like, how do you cut the branches without hitting at the roots? Like, what is that going to solve?
Well, I don't think the same way. I don't believe that is really the case. I think of it more as the belief in God from a completely non-theistic point of view. The belief in God has been a part of our human development, of our human evolution. I mean evolution in a sense of development. I believe religion had to be a part of human history. It was there. It was a completely natural explanation that people made to things that happened that they couldn't explain because they didn't know more, because they didn't see more, they didn't find out more. It had to be there. They had to make rules for society because they started living together. They started to learn to make peace and to live in societies, and they had to make rules on how to live in a society because that was something that was not known to them. They had to keep these rules. They had to go further on them. They made mistakes all along. I would even say most of the morals of Islam are based on its own time and its own geographical limits, not very horrible rules. And I say that although everyone knows how much I hate Islam and how furious I am about Islam, I would say most of its rules were perfectly conforming with the conditions of its surroundings, of its environment.
But that's irrelevant to the fact that religion needs to die. Like, yeah.
Okay, let me go on.
Yeah, exactly. That's consistent with what he's saying. Yeah.
Okay, go on.
Yeah.
Over the many years that religion has existed, people have changed how they practice religion. People have changed how they preach religion and how they impose religion on society. For example, if we think about Christianity, I would still say, I know, Armin, you will have a lot of disagreements with that. I would still say that Christianity was, compared to many other religions in its fundaments, compared to the others, a very peaceful one. Although in its practice, especially by empires like the Romans, a very cruel one. But you have seen from such cruelty in Christian history, for example, what has come forth. In the last few centuries, Christianity has become the leading religion on this side of the world that doesn't restrict people as much as Orthodox Judaism or Islam does, for example. It is one that can more coexist with Enlightenment values, with modernity, with this and that. And at the same time, people are becoming less religious. They're becoming less and less religious.
Yeah, I think that's more of the thing than the Christianity itself. But go on.
No, I would still argue against that. But where was I going? Oh yeah, I would say the issue is now when I think about religion itself, do I think that religion itself is causing mostly problems, or is it mostly causing helpful or neutral or harmless stuff? When I look at the greater picture, I see that it's causing mostly harmless stuff, mostly good stuff, mostly okay stuff in society.
Religion is?
Yes, the bad stuff about religion is a minority issue among all the results that it has. And when I look at the future, it is not like religions will be born. I mean, it is very irrational to think that in the future we will have new religions that will come out of this, and people will believe in these new religions just the way people believed in Christianity, just the way Islam or Judaism existed, for example. There won't be new religions. Religion in itself as a concept, as we knew it, is dying. So why would I be going out and attacking something that is already dying? That is not forming, that won't be formed. This is a detail that I want to emphasize.
I have so much to say. When can I start talking? Okay.
Yeah, but go for it. Okay. I want to hear this.
When religion is something that is not formed, newly. When I don't criticize it, when I criticize it, I don't prevent a religion from being born and coming into existence and presenting all its bad and poisonous things to society. When I criticize religion, I merely concentrate on the harm that it has done in the past and the minor harm that it does in our time. When I think about that, and I think about Christians, Hindus, Jews, and all the other religions, I think it is very. It is a waste of time for me, but I appreciate when others do it, to focus on killing off this religion as fast as I can. And I kind of think of it also as a hasty behavior, because we are the people who have just come out of this of religious belief. It is a weird thought to me that I would be turning around now and be saying, you are stupid for the stuff that you believe in. Stop that right now. I shouldn't be going there. Mostly, belief in God doesn't cause any harm. It mostly does good stuff or harmless stuff. Islam, on the other hand, is different from all these. Islam does, I think, very, very.
Can I follow up on one thing? Armin, you will do. It's a follow up from what I first asked that got this response. When you say, I'm going to quote you Voltaire, because you're talking about Voltaire and we're admirers of him. He said that he who can make you believe absurdities can make you commit atrocities. Am I getting the quote right? Yeah,
very, very well-known phrase.
Okay. Huh? Sorry?
Well-known phrase, yeah.
Yes. So this is what my problem is with the whole God thing, okay? The reason that I think that you cannot fight Islam without fighting the very idea of faith in God, right, is because of this fact, is that it may feel like they're believing things that are harmless. It may feel like what they're doing is harmless, and it may even seem good. They're giving to charity. They're doing zakah. They're doing all this other stuff. That's great. Peace and love, turn the other cheek. It's awesome. The problem is the way that they're getting there. The process by which they're getting there is not through reason, is not through thinking on their own. It's because Jesus said so. It's because God said so. It's because it's hadith. It's because it's in the Quran, or Allah said so. That's what the problem is. So what happens is once you do that and you convince people that is the right process to get to a certain truth, that revelation is a good process to do it, then you can package anything into that revelation. And if that is the right process and faith is the right process, they will do terrible things. And that's what Voltaire was talking about. And that's why I don't think that belief in God is ever harmless. Even if it's causing you to do good things, it is not harmless. It's still harmful. And I think Armin's made the same point.
Yeah, it's actually more harmful when it causes you to do good things than bad things, because it validates. No, because when you use a bad methodology to and by accident you get to a right answer, then that right answer is used as a marketing tool to validate a very flawed method of coming at the truth. But anyway, so what I wanted to say is, I'm okay with somebody focusing on Islam. I'm okay with somebody focusing on Christianity and not...
Same, yeah.
Yeah, let me just finish this. And somebody focusing on Hinduism and no other religion. My only issue is when somebody is focusing on Hinduism and says, maybe we shouldn't focus on Islam, Hinduism is worse. Or somebody focusing on, it's okay if you focus on Christianity as long as you recognize the people that are attacking Islam are doing great work. It's okay if you focus on Islam as long as you do recognize that people that are attacking Christianity are also doing great work. Okay, so I'm okay with focus. I don't think, like, for example, I'm really glad that you're focusing on Islam because you're doing such a great job attacking Islam. But I don't think that the other people that are maybe focusing on all religions or just Christianity or Judaism, I think they're also doing really good work, okay? But the fact that religion has been a part of our history, or development of society and everything, I mean, that's true, but that doesn't give it any credit. Slavery has been part of our history and part of civilization and our human development of human history. The fact that it's naturally explained, especially the meme theory and all of this, yeah, it's part of our nature, but so is measles, okay? So measles is also part of our nature.
Yeah, but you're talking about very specific things that are extremely harmful to society, comparing it to a big concept that is not in its entirety.
Yeah, but
completely harmful to society.
but my point is that those specific examples doesn't show that it's not harmful. Yeah, so it's one argument that you're saying it's not that harmful, but to say that it's part of our history and part of the development of human society, that by itself doesn't show that it's not harmful, because slavery was also, you could say that about slavery as well. And also if you say it was a huge part of our nature and naturally we were interested in religion, that also doesn't say much about how advantageous it is to us, because also there are many things that are natural, like measles, that are but let me
that wasn't the point. The point was to explain. The point was just to get to the point, to explain that this is a natural process that we are currently.
Yeah, but that, I understand that I'm just saying that saying it's a natural process doesn't give it any validity or
doesn't mean
value.
It's good.
That's not what I meant, though.
Okay, but I'm just pointing that out because I know you also mentioned, you clarified that because you also give an example. Well, Islam was also part of our, maybe naturally it was something that we were, and you don't think Islam is good, right? So I just wanted to point that out, right? Mm-hmm. And also when you say like, oh, it's peaceful compared to other religions, yeah, I mean, compared to other religions, maybe you could say that, but if you compare to other religions, that's a very low standard. If you compare it to other ways of thinking in general, it's a very shitty, barbaric, violent religion, right? Maybe if you compare it to like most other religions, not all religions, but you already have set the bar so low that it's not really hard to be better than it. Like, it's kind of like saying like, well, AIDS compared to cancer is not that bad of a disease.
No, I would prefer Christianity to communism, for example, as a society.
Okay, communism, that's a very low standard as well, okay?
But the problem is you can't really define like Christianity again. When Tom Holland was here, he was talking about.
I wrote this stuff so that I go quickly through it. Okay. Modernity has nothing to do with. There's nothing in the Bible. I read the Bible a couple of times. I still don't understand where people see the enlightenment values of modernity. Where in the Bible do people point to? I mean, come on, guys. Where is this in the Bible?
You're obviously talking about it without the Old Testament, right?
I would still say that Christianity made the Enlightenment possible. I wouldn't ever say that Christianity was
the only way Christianity made Enlightenment possible is by not being as strong of a religion as Islam. So it was it's a thing. But the thing is that Christianity acted as a barrier. The fact that it ended up being a weaker barrier doesn't mean that it wasn't a barrier. It was still a barrier.
Why is it weaker? Why is Christianity weaker?
It's a weaker religion. It's a weaker meme compared to Islam.
What makes it weaker?
Well, I mean, Islam has so many. It's political. It gives you a lot more excuses to control. Well, I mean, of course,
Islam has a political system, but Christianity doesn't have it.
Hey, I'm on yours. When it comes to which one is worse, I think we're all on the same side that Islam is the.
You guys are talking over each other.
No. But I'm just saying we all agree here. I think that Islam is the most dangerous religion. No, I think we all agree. Right?
Absolutely.
Living religion.
At this
I think
point
Vikings would. Yeah, I think Vikings were. If they were around, that would be a worse.
No, I think that if you went back to the year 1500, then it would be hard to argue that Islam's the greatest religion.
Living religion, Islam is the worst one. So nobody.
Yeah, right now Islam's having its moment.
Right.
It
No,
was
no,
also the worst
no,
back then.
no.
Anyway,
I agree with you. But even back then, just forget about the results. It's just if you compare the text, Islam is worse. Okay.
Whoa, wait.
Yes.
Here's
I
the
agree.
thing with the texts. Okay, now if you're talking about the Bible and you're including the Old Testament, because the Old Testament is part of the Bible, right? Then your argument is actually null and void.
No, it's not. Because no, it's
It
not.
has-
Yes.
It
Because-
has
Okay,
very
I
different
agree with
standards.
Red One here. Actually,
It has very different standards. The Old Testament wasn't followed word for word as a law book in the 1,000 years ago, 500 years ago, or 1,500 years ago. The last time it was followed as a complete book
The
as a
Old
law
Testament-
was over 2,000 years ago.
yeah. I mean,
By
the Old
Jesus.
Testament is mostly like the God in the Old Testament is really a shitty God. Okay, but it's just mostly him.
And Matthew in the New Testament, it upholds the law.
Right.
Like it
No,
says that
Ali,
Jesus
but-
is
There is
here
no-
to uphold the law.
There is no law in the Old Testament. The Old Testament is a book of stories. I mean,
No,
the
it's
only
full of
the only
laws.
the only law the only law that was actually established as a law was what the scholars made of the book as a law.
It's full of law. Okay. Hey, hold on.
The laws
The
are
political-
the laws are
I-
shitty in the Old Testament, but it's not very political. It's not very organized when it comes to
It
running a
is
society and
Okay, so hold on.
it's just
I got.
random bullshit.
I'm gonna push back on. I'll let you guys go at it, but I'm gonna push back on this whole political thing. There are many different things that make something political. Okay, first of all, if you have something like the coming back of Christ to Jerusalem, right, and he has to come back, this is the way you have to behave, otherwise you get eternal punishment, eternal reward. That immediately is political. The moment you have claims to territory, the chosen people, the chosen land, tribalism, that is immediately political. The moment you have heaven and hell,
I didn't
that's
say it's
political.
not
Of
political.
course it
Of
is.
course it's
Hold on.
political.
Of course it is.
Hold on, let
Okay.
me just finish. So so Islam, yes, it's got a political code embedded in it. Muhammad was much more of a statesman than Jesus.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely with you on that, right? But to say that the Dark Ages and everything that came supposedly because of Christianity didn't come from Christianity, didn't have anything to do with the religion itself, is wrong, because Christianity
You
isn't
didn't
just
say that.
Christianity.
I didn't say
Hold
that.
on.
Yeah.
Huh? Hold on.
I wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
No, you know when you say Christianity itself at its root was very peaceful and then later on became political? You didn't say that, Armin.
Oh, okay.
Ridwan said it. Oh my God, I'm getting you guys mixed up. I'm not. You guys are getting you mixed up.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so Armin's face, you don't have to, you can just read his face.
Yeah,
His
exactly.
face is like the Quran.
Okay.
Yeah, so it wasn't, the thing is, that when this stuff, I forgot what I was talking about because I saw your face, Armin. But so you said when this stuff came out, one of the things about Christianity, it's not just Christianity. There was Catholicism, right? The Catholicism has throughout, even recently, okay, everything it has slowed. Every process it's slowed down.
I agree.
Anti-Semitism, it slowed that down. The women's rights movement slowed that down. It's still slowing it down. Gay rights still slowed that down. Galileo. Okay, his discoveries, Darwin, all of this progress that would have, if you're talking about Christianity enabling the Enlightenment by simply getting out of the way or not getting in the way as much, that is one thing. But every Enlightenment value, whether it's civil liberties or it's science or Galileo or Darwin, the Catholic Church has gotten in and it has slowed it down immensely throughout time. So I don't know how it facilitated the Enlightenment. I think even the doctrine itself, it just
I
hasn't done it.
agree with you on that. I just don't think it's as political as Islam. It would never be as political as Islam. Okay, it doesn't have all this.
It's not as political. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that you can't say that it's not political at all. I mean,
No. Nobody said
the
that.
idea.
Nobody said it's not political at all.
It's because I say that Christianity doesn't have a political system,
Yeah.
as outlined by Judaism or Islam, for example.
Right.
it does have a political system. It's just not as
No,
Yeah.
I would.
visible in
It
terms
it has political aspects, but it doesn't have a political
Islam
system.
tells you how to wipe your ass. I mean, it has it has rules for everything. Anyways, but
But when you're talking about governing of mass societies and governing their behavior by using reward and punishment and authority and clerical leadership and clergy, that is inherently political. The second coming.
Nobody said. I didn't say it's not political. I just said Islam is way more political, way more efficient, and very, very much more efficient at being political.
Talking about what AP was talking about in terms of the.
And also the political part of the Old Testament, it doesn't have that global outreach.
Depends on how you define political system. Anyway,
but I agree with Ali. I agree with Ali that like religion to me, God is like a Hydra, the monster in ancient Greece where you cut off his head and the other heads grow. Right. I think Islam is one of the biggest heads. But at the end of the day, if you cut it, if you don't kill the monster, other things will keep growing. Like I think God represents the body of the monster, right? And the thing is that you said you think religion is just dying by itself, right?
No. I said religion is dying.
What? But
I acknowledge that religion is dying.
Right.
I didn't mean to say that it's dying just by itself.
It's dying through it's dying through activism. It's not just
It's dying by many different factors.
Yeah, but
let's move on to that. I think everybody knows what we think about this stuff.
This is what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to say, look, listen. Just because it's just happening on its own doesn't mean that we just let it go. Because
no.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
You said you have a problem with if someone focuses on Islam, that's totally fine. But if the person who focuses on Islam thinks that religion shouldn't be criticized in general, that's not okay. I want to say you're doing great work.
Right.
Both of you are doing great work. I think Richard Dawkins is doing great work. I think Christopher Hitchens is still one of my personal heroes, and I wish I would have met him.
Yeah. I thought Shandy was political, by the way, very political. Hey, but go on.
See, Ellie, you told me to let him go on.
I know. I'm the one who said we should move on. You're right.
I completely appreciate that. I completely appreciate that that people are criticizing Islam, Christianity, Judaism. I don't know. They can criticize atheistic point of views. They can criticize political ideas, whatever they want to do. I appreciate that, and I like it. I like it. I have nothing against it. And I'm not saying it's something we shouldn't be doing. That is not the thing at all. I don't have any such position. I'm just saying I, for myself, wouldn't criticize religion because I, for myself, don't think that, from my point of view, it is a beneficial thing, a pragmatic thing to do to criticize the belief in God on its own.
When Islam, if you went back to the 1970s in the Middle East or in Iran at least, right? If you checked with people, if you showed them Iran, what Iran is like today, they wouldn't believe it. How Islam made such a big comeback. A lot of people in the society, upper class, educated people, they're living in a post-Islam. Islam is on its way out, right? Yeah. Ataturk, people living under Ataturk felt like, okay, Islam, just like Europe went through its Christian phase now. Middle East is also like Islam is dying. It's almost gone. People in Egypt felt the same way. Like they didn't think they're like okay, it's dying. It's gonna die. Just let it go. Okay, it's fine. Some people are religious, and it came back. It came back with such a force, right? And if you went through during the Voltaire's time, right, during the Enlightenment time, during the scientific revolution, a lot of these great thinkers thought Christianity is on its way out.
God is dead.
It is.
No, but it had a major comeback. Okay.
It didn't.
Are you serious?
I agree with Rizwan. I don't think it did.
I don't think it did. Go to Europe. Christianity is dead in Europe.
No. In the world, Christianity had a major comeback.
Okay? Yes, but
I'm saying is that you can't. This is like a disease that goes on a defensive mode. It just goes on a passive mode. If you don't, it'll spread again. It's like you have to keep vaccinating people. It's like measles. It might look like it's dead, but if you stop vaccinating people, it will come back. It will return, right?
No, but
when a beast is dying, you don't just be like, okay, it's dying. It's if it's injured, if you leave it, let it go, it's gonna recover and it's gonna come back and eat you. If it's injured, you shove the sword into its head and make sure it stays down.
I love this analogy, but the thing is, what you're doing is when the beast is dying, there's another thing that's going to happen. Okay, it's going to scream really, really loud. all of the rest
Or-
of the beasts are going to be nice and quiet because they're going to be sitting there having coffee, and fucking their people, each other and all this stuff. They'll be calm and they'll be relaxed. But this one's going to be really loud, so everyone's going to hear it. They'll be like, holy shit, it's still alive. But it's not. It's just screaming really loud because it's about to die. No,
Actually, it's more clever than that. When it's about to die, it makes itself look like a cute puppy, and we're like, "Hey, look, I'm reformed."
We're pushing this analogy.
I want you to realize the implication of what's happening in the Islamic world. We are calling it Islamic revivalism. Those fundamentalistic movements that are trying to bring religion back into society desperately. We are calling that Islamic revivalism. We are calling it Islamic revivalism because those groups openly acknowledge that Islam is dying among the regular people, and
it needs to be revived.
They feel scared about it, and they want to revive it in vain. They're not able to do it.
Even reform, like all of these things they're symptoms of it. Hey, here's another, like, the way that I like to think about this is that yes, Christianity is still around. It's still, a lot of people believe in it, but the world just doesn't work that way. It's 400 years ago, in 1600, young Earth creationism was the norm. Okay, everybody thought that the Earth just was created a few thousand years ago. Nobody had any idea. Everything that happened from Kepler to now,
But
400
I don't
years.
think if you talk to the people from I think the Enlightenment time, if they came and looked at the United States, they would think by 2019, we would be living in a Star Trek world.
Sure,
right
but
now.
let me
they
try to
wouldn't
say
think that the United States has so many mega churches.
But
all
we
over.
are. So Armin, let me tell you. The thing is, in practice, if you go around, nothing operates according to religion was severed from the state in most of the powerful world, most of the Western world, right? Right. Apart from like a few places, like mainly Muslim countries in the world just generally operates on secular things. I mean, you have science, you have technology.
Yeah, I acknowledge the progress.
Drives the economics.
I acknowledge the progress. I just think that the religion. Yes, I know religion
It's
is
beyond
weak.
the progress.
No,
it's in the DNA.
I agree that religion is getting weaker.
Dead. It's dead.
No, let me just say one word.
Yeah.
I know we're making progress. I just think the progress is way slower than it should have been.
I think it's super fast. 10,000 years of religion, 400 years since Kepler.
Dude.
And it completely turned everything around. Come on. That's 10,000.
The thing is,
this is why we need active Ridwan. When you say like, oh, if it's dying, why do we need to attack it? Because every second that it dies faster.
I didn't say that.
Oh. No, but
Ridwan, you've just gotten us. This has become like an
Ridwan, you said like you think it's not a worthy thing to do. You said. Okay, you say multiple things. You say it's okay for us to do it, but you also say that I don't see the point of attacking a religion.
That was not the main point. It was just something that I used to lead up. Maybe I wasn't clear enough. I don't know. I was probably not clear enough about that.
I know you agree that people
we have been
should be able.
interrupting you, though.
I know that you agree that people should be able to attack other religions.
Of course, do it.
No, I know that's an easy thing to say, but what the question is that do you think it's a good idea?
It is a good idea.
To attack God and religion as a whole.
Well, I think it depends very much on how it is done, to be very honest.
Okay.
See, I usually don't have any problem with people criticizing religions or anything at all. It is usually the other side that comes at me and says you are not a real atheist because you only criticize Christianity, only criticize Islam, whatever. I've never ever gone out and attacked people because they don't do what I want them to do.
But listen to what I'm saying. Reba, I know that you don't have a problem with people, but do you think it's a good idea? That's two different things, right?
I do think it's a good idea, but what I was trying to clarify is that it really depends on the methodology and on the attitude that people have, that people employ. That makes me
same methodology you use against Islam.
upon which I decide whether it's a good idea or not. If people went out and made stupid. And made weird jokes about Muhammad, and that's all they would do. I would be like, "What are you doing, man?"
Right.
Like, calm down. There is a better way to handle this. You can go out. You can talk about what your problems with the religion. You can insert jokes into those talks. You can you can include all your wishes of satire and sarcasm into that intellectual deconstruction of the problem with religion that you have. But if your only method, if your way is to go out there and say, "Oh, fuck Islam, Islam is horrible, Muhammad was a child rapist," and this and that, if that's all you do, then you are first off not helping at all, is what I would say. You're not helping yourself. You're not helping anyone else. You're not helping me. You're not helping anyone who wants Islam gone or who wants to criticize Islam, because you will convince no Muslim at all with that methodology, with that method to leave Islam to question
but that
religion.
does have its place for people that want to vent. And if you say fuck Islam, fuck all of this, and make jokes about Muhammad and all of that stuff, that might not help convince people out of Islam. But that might have a different purpose, because maybe you're so angry and you were so.
Of course, do it. But the thing is,
the purpose of that is something else.
But do I think that's a good way? But do I think people should be doing that? I think it's stupid. I think it's wrong. I think I don't think it's good. I mean, let people do it, of course. I always think whatever you will ask me, I will always say, of course, let people do it.
But let people do it is such a low standard. That's not my question. Of course, let people do what. I think all of us here agree that people should be able to say whatever they want. Like nobody
is trying to convince you to agree with him. That's what
you answered a different question.
Good.
No,
but he answered it. He says he doesn't think it's good. He thinks you should totally do it, but he doesn't think it's.
I want to go from there. If people, I see this very, very commonly among American atheists, for example. European atheists don't even care about all this stuff. But American atheists, for example, go out very often and do these things like making weird Jesus jokes and memes and all that stuff. And when I look at all this stuff and I see memes that I saw 4 years ago that people are still posting and trying to laugh about, I just think, what are you doing, man?
Yeah, but Redman, you're answering a different question, because you say let people do it. But okay, but because if
I'm saying I don't find it good.
Okay, I know about the jokes and stuff you're saying it's not good, but when it comes to attacking God in whatever ways you think it's good, in a proper way. Do you think it's a good idea to go after the concept of faith and God as
yes, good.
It's a good idea. I know.
If you are doing it in a productive and intellectually good way,
right,
please do it. It's good.
Here's a question.
It's good whatever.
Okay, so but you said God and religion has done more good for society than bad. So why do you think it's a good idea to go after God?
I don't believe that religion is the right answer. I don't believe it will be the right answer in the future. I believe it is. I believe that it is in many ways the wrong answer. I wouldn't adopt a religion and would think of it as the right way to go. I would rather want to concentrate on the study of the human brain or space exploration and finding different planets. And I don't think that is. I don't think religion is entirely helpful with that.
See, this is the answer you give is the most important. The thing is that it's not true. Like, here's the thing. Like, let's say I'm in a park with my mother, and she sees that there's this person that does like palm reading, right? And she wants to go in, and she's like wants to spend money to figure. She really believes in it, right? And I tell her, like, Mom, do you really believe in this? I'm trying to convince her that this is bullshit. Okay, like, do you not see how like convincing people that to think about these things, like there's no jihad in the name of palm reading happening, right? People are not blowing themselves up in the name of palm reading, but just making people think like seriously, do you believe this is true? Like, I think it's a worthy thing to do, like just to make people understand, like, how could you be like, what makes you think that somebody could actually tell your future by just looking at your hand? And even if palm reading itself doesn't cause major damage to someone's life, that if you introduce them to that way of thinking, maybe it opens doors, possibilities to them, and maybe they wouldn't be fooled by other things that is not even related to palm reading. You know what I mean? I mean, you just want to introduce people to how to recognize what's true. Don't you want to do that?
Mm-hmm. No. Okay, here's what I think. Yeah. Let me just give a straight answer to that. There is a series of things. Just off the top of my head, a few things that I thought of, which is very, very majorly pop culture, pop music, for example, and big stars like, I don't know, I don't even know their names anymore, like Rihanna and all the other stuff, dressing, fashion, expensive cars, good-looking cars, the football industries, in general, sports industries, porn. These are all things that I think are entirely a giant, stupid waste of time and are completely in the way of other things that I think could be done instead. Other things that people could spend their time on, could spend their attention on, could spend their money on, that we could be talking about, that would help all of us. But I acknowledge that people have the desire to follow Katy Perry and Beyonce or whatever they are called, and to dress in the newest weird ways because they want to look that way, because they want to fit in society.
I love Beyonce, by the way.
That's different.
Or they want to have the football industry or whatever, and I won't go out there and say, hey, this is bullshit. You should be aware of that.
That's very different because they're not being conned. They're not being lied to about the reality.
Of course they are.
No, if you listen. If you look at a painting and could not understand why would anybody love it, right? And I look at it and I think this is the most beautiful painting in the world, and I could see exactly what I'm being sold to, right? I know exactly what is being given to me, and I pay $1 million for it. Because you don't like that painting, you're like, okay, they conned you, okay? They conned you. I know what I'm getting. And I like, you don't like it, I like it, okay? I know exactly what I'm getting, okay? That's different from something where somebody's giving me water and telling me that this is going to cure your cancer, and I'm being lied to about the nature of things, and I'm being lied to about the reality behind what I'm getting, and I pay $1 million for that. That second one is a con. That first one is just a disagreement about what I like something, you don't like something. The second one is there's a different reality that is objectively different from the truth that is being sold to me as the truth. That's a con. The first one is just subjective, taste.
Okay, guys. I'm gonna cut that because both of you have said what you've said, and I think it's pretty clear to the audience. So I don't want to get into any repetitions. Armin, by the way, the example you said about
this is very fun. I hope people.
No, I know it is, but we're going to Patron questions.
Okay, yeah, but I just want to make this clear. My disagreement with Apostate Prophet makes me want to spend more time with him, because people fake like we talk like this and we're disagreeing and like, oh, Armin, you're an idiot. I agree with Apostate Prophet, or Armin, you destroyed the Apostate Prophet. Oh, no, we're just having fun discussions.
Apostate Prophet would say that his fans would say that he destroyed you.
Yeah, I know. I actually, it's funny because I was on his channel and he was on my channel, and people on my channel were like, "Oh, Armin, you destroyed him," and people on his channel were like, "Oh, this guy is like, who is this idiot? I only like that person." Like, people don't understand. We're having fun conversations, and people turn this into something a lot more hostile.
The only person who ever destroys anybody else is Ben Shapiro, and we all know that, right? So because all of the titles on YouTube videos say it. But
Ali, can I say one final thing about this whole issue? Yes. I think that there's I think from my point of view, when I think about it, the belief in God is wrong. I think it's a wrong belief. It's a false belief. It doesn't lead us anywhere. What I would do, which is why I decided to do that whole thing about why I don't believe in God in the near future, what I would do is to present what I think about it, is my point of view, how I view the whole situation. I would present what I think. I would present how I think. I would present why I think that way. That's what I would do about it.
Yeah. Okay.
Patron questions.
That sounds good. Okay, Patron questions. Before that, I wanted to do a quick plug for. He didn't ask me to do this, but you were talking about a painting, right, that you hate. So Jay Shapiro, who was on, I think our last episode, he just started a podcast with Coleman Hughes called Dilemma, which is really great. The first episode is called Fire at the Louvre, which is like in the Louvre, the museum where the Mona Lisa is. And basically they discuss that you go in there's a big fire. You can either save the Mona Lisa or you could save this other person that is about to burn to death. So who's lying unconscious. Who would you save?
Person.
Yeah. Hey, it's a Mona Lisa. Okay, I mean, I'm not saying I would save it, but it's a tough call depending on the person.
Is it really a tough? Is it?
I would walk away.
Let them burn both. But is this really a tough call for people? No, Ali, is this really a tough call? People actually will let a person burn for.
Want to talk about it, not because I think one way or another.
Okay, no, I want to see Ridwan. Which one would you save, honestly? The painting or the person?
I would save the person, but I would also try to save the painting as well.
It's a fun conversation. Coleman's a very smart guy. Yeah. Jay is obviously a very smart guy, so I think you guys will have to listen to it. Yeah, but anyway, we'll go on with that. And all right, patron questions. Let's do this. All right.
By the way, people in the comment section, let us know in the live chat, painting or person, which one would you say? Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So Secular Jihadist is asking, how is the audio? No, that's not a patron question. Sorry. Hold on.
Ali.
Okay, so can someone
Ali's
make
jokes are funny because they're not funny. The lack of humor in his jokes makes it funny.
It is so bad. It's like my jokes are the equivalent of The Room. Remember that movie, The Room?
Right.
I've never heard something like this before.
Has AP had any... Okay, so can someone make a channel like AP's under a pseudonym and not get doxxed? Has AP had any issues with doxing?
I already asked that. He said no.
It hasn't happened so far. So.
Hasn't happened so far. Okay.
What are you doing, Muslims? You're not trying hard enough.
Yeah, seriously.
I had to move like twice now. All right, go on, Ali.
Right, so Shay is asking, why not include? You're talking about pointing out the scientific errors in the Quran. Why not include the scientific errors in the Hadith too?
Whoa,
there's too many.
You know how many?
Yeah,
I would for volumes in the Hadiths themselves. I think
I would spend a lifetime on that.
This is why you would never run out of content.
Boji said it would take a lifetime.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm trying to look for more questions. So Shay is saying. So you're writing a book, AP. Why would anyone read it? It's not like you're a medical doctor or anything. I don't know if that was a jab at me.
No, that was a jab at Zakir Naik, I think.
Yeah, I do that. I did that Zakir Naik medical doctor gag. It's sticking around forever.
Suddenly, I don't feel so good. It's like me and Zakir Naik. Okay. So, do you think that the growing numbers of ex-Muslim atheists will eventually cause enormous backlash in the Middle East, like banning or heavily regulating the internet? Already happening.
There are already things happening. Yeah, authorities are speaking about it more and more. People who are well known or who are authorities are speaking about it and are thinking of imposing things. I think in Dubai most recently, something happened where they made it a law or wanted to prevent
a law
posting anything online. So it's definitely happening. It will definitely happen. When they see that the local religion is in danger, they will definitely do something against it, especially if we are talking about Islam. But I don't think it will be
not only
an obstacle.
Not only is it happening, but it's happening big time. So a few examples. Iran called it a tsunami of atheism that they have to fight against. People or atheists being like hung and sought out. Malaysia, hunt down of atheists after that picture of the Atheist Republic consulate happened just a couple of years ago. Still happening. Saudi Arabia calls atheism a terrorist offense in 2014. This is all within just the last few years, guys. Okay, Kuwait, Egypt calls Mohammed Hisham on TV, right? And they're having these conversations. Kuwait warning about the rising number of atheists in their countries. Pakistan cracking down on virtually everything, banning YouTube videos, tweets. Armin, including some of yours, like everybody's getting letters from Pakistan that your tweets been taken down because of blasphemy laws. The only way atheists can communicate there is WhatsApp. This sounds like it's terrible. It's a massive crackdown on atheists, but it is a symptom that the numbers are growing so fast that these governments have no choice but to crack down on it by force. So it is happening already. Yeah.
I want to say it's a cruel thought. I don't know how nice that thought is. It's of course terrible that such things are happening, but it also shows us that there is something great happening.
Exactly. Absolutely.
We need to create more support groups for the people that are suffering.
Exactly. I think we're going to have a big influx, and also legal services, stuff like secular rescue, stuff like, things like that have to
And
happen.
this is something Atheist Republic is trying to do if it gets enough resources at some point.
Yeah, I think all of the non-profits out there, all of the organizations who've been doing this work for a while, will have to expand into that territory.
By the way, let me announce this publicly for the first time. Atheist Republic has filed for as charity status in the United States, so 501c. So we should get it within the year.
Amazing.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's killer. So now the next question: what countries are Apostate Prophets videos banned in? That's from Moe.
Pakistan.
I told you. That's what it is.
Well, Pakistan has this thing. My channel is not visible in Pakistan, so if people are in Pakistan and want to go on my channel, it says connection failure, whatever. So they have to use VPNs to reach the channel. And many of my videos get constantly taken down from the Pakistan YouTube channel per government request.
We have to figure out a way to have alternative, like some kind of platform, something we have to figure out that would make this stuff available, but I don't know how.
Well, people are using different ways to reach the content that is banned. They're using VPN software, which makes it available.
VPN are they're like it's just an app now. Like,
so and they've had it in Pakistan actually, because YouTube was banned in Pakistan for several years after the Benghazi protests. They actually banned it.
This is why I like that these Islamic countries also ban porn. It's very important that they ban porn, because then people will definitely find out how to go around. You know. And that way, like, because when you ban porn, you make sure that teenagers and start learning about the technology and how to figure out how to get porn, and by that they're opening the door to everything else as well.
This is the way, Armin, the way you and I think is so similar sometimes when it comes to these kinds of weird strategies. Because I was just telling somebody, I was like, I want global warming and climate change to happen so that the coastal cities get completely flooded and all of the coastal Democrats move into the red states. I've always wanted that to happen. That would completely change the.
Okay,
anyway.
That's a joke, by the way, you guys.
It's not a joke. I actually meant it just as seriously as said the porn thing.
No, you didn't.
Do you get it? Because all the liberals are on the coasts, right? So if they get flooded because they're near the water, the sea levels rise. They move into the red states, creating more. So that they're not all
they would be homeless. Right? There would be shit ton of homeless people all over the United
Armin. Yeah, no, but you're not getting the political. Okay, anyway, forget it. We'll talk about it later. The people who got it will get it. They'll understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but I'm pretty sure that's a joke, because it would be the cost of it would be catastrophic.
Only on the coasts. So, AP, have you thought about translating your videos into other languages? Us Pakistanis definitely need to see them. So there's someone from Pakistan saying this.
I'm just doing everything by myself, so it's hard to actually get all that stuff done. I have the support that patrons and donors give me. If I want to do something like that, then I would have to buy translations for each one, or I would have to find someone who would like to do it voluntarily, and it's hard to find someone who actually wants to do every video that you do into their own language. So
what we have decided to do is to set, like, you could set this goal as well. We decided to tell our patrons that once we reach 500 patrons, then we will be able to afford translators, and then we'll pick the most important videos that we think needs translation and add subtitles to them. And I can show you, if you ever decide to do that, I can show you how to get really high quality translations, subtitles at a good price for your videos.
Okay.
All right. So next one from Mike. Mike is saying, would you think that if you give the tools that Stalin had to the 11th century Pope, Christianity would still be better than communism?
That's a weird way of thinking. Well, I think I think the reason I say I would prefer Christianity to communism is I was more thinking of Christianity in its fundamentals. That's how I compare religion. For example, I don't compare religion based on what a specific rule, what a specific regime or a specific empire at some point did with the religion. I just think of it based on what its fundamental scripture says. But yeah, of course, if you give cruel rulers worse means, then it will become terrible and not preferable.
I very much agree with that, and I think like communism is not. A lot of people, when they're trying to figure out how dangerous communism is, they look at the violence that it caused, and it did cause a lot of violence. But more people died from hunger because of communism than violence, right? So I agree that I compare the doctrines. Like I compare the Christian armies or kings, whatever they did, it's influenced by Christianity, but we don't know how directly, and Islam as well. But that's why I just look at the text. The text of Islam is a lot more direct in what you can do with it in this world than Christianity. And communism, the text of communism, the threat of communism doesn't necessarily lead to the violence that Stalin caused on people, but it does lead to the hunger and the starvation that Mao and Stalin and everybody else inflicted. Like that is within the core of the text, right? So you might not get the violence again if you rewind everything with communism, but you will get the hunger and the starvation.
Okay. Buy Everything is pointing out that...
yeah, that was a very good answer.
Oh, wait, hold on. I lost my place. No, I didn't. I didn't lose my place. I am here. Okay, Buy Everything actually said
Save the Mona Lisa. Oh, no.
No. She earlier said the first 5 books of the Old Testament, the law books, are only about 50 pages shorter than the whole New Testament. So this is what we're talking about. Vikram, this Vikram seems new. Welcome, Vikram. Is Vikram new?
No, Vikram is our patron, and he's in Vancouver. He's been managing our Atheist Republic Vancouver consulate, and for the first time our Vancouver consulate has become active. So thank you, Vikram.
Oh, awesome, Vikram. So welcome. I haven't seen you very often on the chat, so that's why I'm saying it. So yeah, he was saying the analogies are getting way too deep. I think when you went into the cute little puppies, that was the last call for a lot of people here.
Right.
We don't do puppies. Okay, so
no, but read the answer by.
I'm coming to it. I'll come to it. I just want to go through the rest of them in order. Lois is saying that the damage that religion does can be very insidious, and that's what we're talking about, especially with the Voltaire quote. Yeah. That was a point that I was trying to make. Then Buy Everything is saying, save the Mona Lisa, sell it on the black market, and use the proceeds for malaria treatment.
Yes. That's the best
there you go. So... That's really good. I'm going to send that to Jay.
Yes.
I'll see if they actually...
that is the best answer. Yeah.
That was a really good answer.
She or he, I don't know, she, right? She. Is actually, this is the best answer, because if you actually go with malaria, you are, for every cent, you're saving the highest number of people. Like, she touched on exactly where every dollar will make the most difference. So that is the perfect answer. Right.
Yeah. So Juice Rain is saying, well, Ali, why do you have those pictures behind you? No. I am actually in...
Ali... I don't know if you noticed, but it looks like you're in a porn set, because you have naked ladies behind you, right?
They're not naked.
No, but it's small, and it looks like it's just a bunch of like porn stars.
Yeah, I know. No, this is actually, I am in a photography studio. This is my wife's photography studio. So
usually the pictures
are an example.
I know. Okay, usually it's like that, right? But today it looks like it's just naked ladies.
That's what I thought all the time.
Oh yeah, there are. You're right.
Right. So,
there's different stuff up here. This is
every clip that we make from this episode is gonna look like you have just porn stars on your wall.
Hey, that's good.
And nobody's gonna pay attention to what you're saying. And
we're gonna get banned anyway. But anyway, this is what it is. So it's gonna look a little bit different every time, because this is kind of like the office area. I use it at night. So anyway, it's a nice room to be in.
Yeah, next time, can you put something less distracting than naked ladies on your wall?
I am really
can
sorry.
put
Do you
some
want me to put a
hijabs on.
burqa on them? Should I put a burqa on them? Fuck is with you and modesty culture? Jesus Christ. Okay, so Vikram is also asking. He's like, "What is the issue you find with anti-theism?" I think you kind of
Who?
covered it.
Yeah,
already.
Who, me?
We covered it a
Oh.
lot.
Yeah,
So-
you are.
Juice Rain is saying, "What do you think of Imran Khan? Imran Khan's the Prime Minister of Pakistan." A little off topic, Juice,
I
but
really don't care.
these guys, they don't give a shit. I think that I've got fingers crossed. I'm not a huge fan of everything he does, but lack of alternatives is
I
tough.
have a question.
Watching and waiting.
I have a question for Ridwan.
Yeah.
What is the best defense of Islam you've ever heard?
The best defense of Islam. I don't know. I don't keep such things in mind. You can ask me about the best argument against Islam. I would still not be able to remember anything specific now. But I don't know. Mostly theological. Oh, I'll have to think about that actually.
Yeah.
know.
Oh, so Juice is clarifying. He's saying, well, the reason he was asking about Imran Khan is because some of your videos are banned in Pakistan. So on that, obviously, we have a huge problem with the blasphemy law. We've talked about it here. I think that Imran Khan capitulates and he appeases the mullahs a little bit too much when it comes to that area, but then most of the public agrees with him too, which is a problem. But we have had previous episodes. We had an amazing episode with Rafia Asqui, who is a woman who was accused of blasphemy and was separated from her daughter for up to 8 years because of that. So, that's a great episode. She has an amazing story. You should check it out. But yeah, overall,
You should come on our show again, by the way. Ridwan.
I would love to.
Yeah. So the strongest argument thing you already talked about. So, hey, Ridwan, we've got about 7 minutes left. So I want to ask you, I went to school with a lot of Turkish kids in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia in the 80s. So I think I'm older than you guys a lot, by a lot.
Yeah.
So
Everyone is older than me.
yeah, of course. Yeah. We are. And I remember at that time, they were like they were the most westernized. They just didn't care. They were all from Muslim families. I remember asking them, I'm like, are you Shia or Sunni? They didn't know what Shia Sunni was. They didn't know how to pray. Yeah, no, this is Turkish people in the 80s. This is when Turkey had they had nude beaches. Do they still have nude beaches?
That was my point.
No, they didn't have really nude beaches to.
Oh, no, they did.
Open to the public. They didn't have it.
In the 80s, they did. They had papers. They brought a newspaper called I think it was, I don't know what it was called. It's called Tan or something starting with a T, and it had the newspaper had nudes in it, just like the Sun in the UK did at the time.
They had newspapers with nude stuff, but they didn't have thing, like nude beaches or anything.
Nude beaches? Oh, really?
Yeah.
So, but in any case, so these guys were very, very secular, and we went to the American school. They were the most, you couldn't tell whether they were part of the American cliques or part of the, like the Muslims used to be the other Muslims used to be separate. So has there been, I mean, we know everything with Erdogan and everything, but has there been in your lifetime, have you seen more of a radicalization among Turkish Muslims?
No. Well, I would say I actually wanted to talk about that much earlier when Armin was pointing out that there was a revivalism among Islamic cultures going on, like in Iran, for example. But I want to say in the case of Turkey is an extremely secularized and westernized, but forcibly secularized and westernized culture. I mean, Turkish people weren't ever in history as religious as Arab-speaking people, for example. The Ottoman Empire, which led the Islamic world, wasn't as strictly religious as other Islamic empires before were. Yeah, Muslim people, Turkish people in general nowadays are often very secularized people, and it has been. Because it has been enforced like that at the beginning of the last century. One thing that has been happening is that the country is divided between religious and less religious people, and because religious sentiments have been suppressed for nearly 100 years in the history of Turkey, for like 80 years or so, because religious sentiments have been so brutally repressed. Now, a political Islamic party has gained power and is now fighting against that, and now all those suppressed religious sentiments are coming out and trying to, surge and try to show that they are here and that they exist,
Same
that
as
they have
Iran.
power. Yeah,
That's what
but that's really all that is happening. If you look at all those people who propose this Erdogan's party and this whole political Islamism, most of them are not even religious. Most of them are not half as religious as an average person in Saudi Arabia or Kuwait, for example. They are not religious at all. They are still very, very cultural, very traditional, not very religious. They're just conservative. That's all. There is no big radicalization or revivalism of Islam going on. There's just this thing that it has been suppressed and now it's showing its face, and it will get tired. That's all that's happening, really.
But Mike, can I read Mike's comment?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's saying the fundamental ideas of communism looks great from outside, all that equality and stuff. Actually, this is what the problem with Islam is as well. These little sugar coatings that are used as PR is actually what makes an ideology a lot more dangerous, right? You basically go with love thy neighbor, or like in Christianity, or in Islam, you go with like, oh, the poor, take care of the poor, take care of the orphans, and you just lead with that. With communism, you lead with like, oh, we want equality, but there's a lot of rotten. It's a rotten. The core of it is rotten, and you have this thin layer of sugar coating that basically is meant to sell you the poison. But this is why communism and Islam, they survive longer as an ideology. Like, this is why Nazism was defeated within one generation, because it was so purely evil that it didn't have the PR front to be able to survive longer. Right? And that's why I say, like, these good messages that people refer to in religion or in communism, that's actually the worst part of these ideologies. That's what makes it more dangerous. That's what makes them survive longer.
It's also inaccurate. I mean, I see that. What did you say the name was of the person who posted that? I don't know. Anyway,
Mike.
Mike. They're proposing that communism has ideas of equality and freedom and whatever, but that's not really.
Just equality, yeah.
Yeah, but that not even that is really the case. I mean, if you look into the writings of Engels and Marx, I mean, you don't find the ideas as communist activists are proposing them today. I mean, they weren't proponents of complete equality, of all the women's stuff and of all the stuff that communists are proposing today. That's right, not the case.
But there is,
and also.
But there is something to give people hope. You know what I mean? There is some good. Yeah.
There's also good stuff in Nazism, for that matter.
Not as
much.
Not
as much, of course. But there's also good stuff in that for that matter. But I would still not say that communism is in its fundamentals a good idea or a good-looking idea. I mean, Karl Marx is basically in his work. One of the things is that he's also being very anti-Semitic in his description of how Jews are handling money, but beside all that,
everybody was anti-Semitic.
Yeah,
man.
All that aside, he's basically proposing a slavery of the general population to the state, the state under the disguise of the people. That's what Karl Marx did in his original work. It's the fundamental idea of Marxism, of communism.
Let me give you an example. Let's say an alternative version of history where we had exactly Nazism like as we had it in our history, but in this alternative history, you had the Mein Kampf, you had the Holocaust, everything happened except Hitler did one thing else other than killing 6 million Jews and 2 million other people, including like gypsies and stuff, and handicapped people.
5 million others.
5 million others. Okay. And he did all of that, and he was everything was just as bad. But Hitler also went to went to like soup kitchens and started feeding poor children, right? You have pictures of Hitler where he actually fed poor orphans in the street, right? He did everything else, all the horrible things, plus this, okay? I think our reality would be better than that one. Because that would be used so much. Like, people are like, we're like, hey, dude, he killed 6 million Jews. Like, yeah, but he wasn't all that bad. He also take care of the poor. Like, look at this. I'm like, dude, he killed, like, what are you talking about? Like, he killed 6 million Jews. I'm like, yeah, but they will use, that would be used as such a powerful marketing tactic to tell people, look, they're telling you Hitler was so bad, but he did this. And as if like this is anything compared to all the crimes that they did, right? So I'm saying, like, in Islam, with that, I wish that Islam didn't have anything about taking care of orphans or anything like that, because that would have been an easier Islam to defeat. Islam is more dangerous with these good messages in it.
But Hitler loved animals. He loved dogs.
Yeah, that's the only thing they have. Yeah, see how much they repeat that. They have this. They have animals. He painted, and he was a vegetarian. They have nothing else. Like, and these little things that they have, look how much they're using it. Because
he also had one nut, right? I think he just had one ball.
No, but the fact that they are so.
That's an assertion.
Actually, there's a fourth thing, that he revived the economy, right, in Germany, right? But the fact that
he made great streets, maybe
right? I don't know. They just say these things, but the fact that the little things that they have so very few things to go by, but how much they use it shows that it's good that they don't. It's good that Hitler wasn't bothered to actually be decent to somebody at some point. Sometimes, right? It's a good thing that he didn't do that, because it doesn't have that good of a marketing anymore, right? I'm just saying that these good messages in religion, they're actually bad. They makes it harder to defeat. Anyway,
yeah.
You know what's funny about this? This reminds me of Turkish politics, where Erdogan is constantly being criticized by people with a little bit of common sense left, who talk about how disgusting his regime is, of all the horrible stuff that they have done, of how they are now a world record hold in jailing journalists and all that stuff. But Erdogan's party's reaction is, then we built streets. We made all these nice things in Istanbul. We made bridges. So he basically goes where Nazis are going.
Yeah, that's the thing. We're making Turkey great again, making Germany great again, like all that. It's always been a great propaganda tool. Yeah. Anyway, we're out of time. Apostate Prophet, I think it's pretty easy to find you online.
Check his channel. I mean, if you're not subscribed to Apostate Prophet, I don't know what you're doing.
You're doing YouTube, a very big mistake.
YouTube, the Apostate Prophet, and anywhere else, where can people find you on Twitter?
You
were banned recently? Huh?
No, it has been reinstated thanks to you all.
Yes.
Yeah, but I'm
that's
there.
Great.
I'm there. Yeah.
And also, I'm hoping one day you start a podcast as well.
And
I think about it every time. I don't know. I still want to do it sometimes.
I mean, if you're doing interviews with people on your YouTube channel, all you have to do is extract the audio and upload it on Libsyn, and there you go. You have a podcast now.
Yeah. And I want to say that, this whole thing, when you got banned, Ridwan,
it was the most ridiculous ban I've ever seen.
We did a campaign, and like you said, you didn't have a lot of support from like the main conservative Twitter heavy hitters, but even us, like all of us, I know Armin, myself, like a lot of people, a lot of the ex-Muslim community got together, and they had and we got you reinstated. Like all of the pressure actually did that, and the same thing happened with Hamid of the Summit.
Andrews and Richard Dawkins when they
Seth Andrews and Richard Dawkins, all of them, and that really matters. So if something like this happens to you guys, I know that some people have really, like Hamid of the Summit said that he had powerful media contacts that were able to help as well. But there are many other voices that are getting banned, that are getting drowned out. So if that happens, bring it to our notice. And these campaigns work because their algorithms aren't perfect. So when they actually get some pressure and they hear about it, then more often than not, I'm seeing now that they do reinstate these accounts.
They just removed a very left Twitter account, 3 arrows, and within a few hours they got it back. But I was hoping I'd get a chance to also defend that, because I don't want to also just defend like right-wing people that get banned. I was like, yes, I'm gonna go defend this very, very leftist Twitter side to show that I'm not a hypocrite. But he got his account too soon. He got it back too soon, so we didn't get a chance.
Yeah, it was very painful It was very painful for me, but I actually did speak out against Alex Jones being banned. I thought that was like the beginning of all this bullshit.
You have
Like,
to agree that disproportionately those banned are.
Yeah.
Are,
No,
are
I'm
the
hoping
right,
some Antifa account gets removed so I could go defend Antifa.
I wouldn't.
No, not defend Antifa. Defend their accounts being. Okay, I don't like Antifa.
I wouldn't.
Really? No.
Yeah,
okay,
I defend free speech completely. I wouldn't defend the free speech of Antifa.
Really? Why?
Yeah, I would.
I mean, I'm very much against Antifa, but I don't think their accounts should be removed.
No, I think if a group is out there and they say outrageous, stupid shit, they should be able to do so. If Islamist groups are out there and they propose absolutely ridiculous nonsense, they can go out there and do so. But if this group goes out there and practices violence against people and then still wants to speak, I don't think they should be able to do that. And in the case of Antifa, they have proven multiple times.
No,
that
yeah,
they don't
but
respect
your
the boundaries.
account. Okay, yeah, but you can't just do guilt by association. Your account actually has to do something shitty for it to be removed. Like, you can't be like, other Antifa have called for violence, you're Antifa, so let's remove your account. I think that is something I would not defend, right? If
I would not defend it. I mean, I wouldn't shut them down, but I wouldn't defend them either.
No, I will defend their free speech.
Antifa is a little bit like the Muslim Brotherhood, in the sense that it's a very loosely organized worldwide thing. Some of them go by dialogue.
I hate
others
them,
are
but
really
I will defend their. I
really
really hate them, but I think I want to be consistent with my defense.
By
the way,
you can't find major Antifa voices speak out against what's happening, right?
Yeah, but I'm not gonna defend people's right to speech only if they have defended my right to speech.
No, of course, that's not what I mean. I'm saying if people are openly practicing violence and shutting other people down with violence, then I won't defend anything.
But that specific person that has asked for violence or committed violence, that person specifically...
I don't think it's a specific person. I think it's the entire movement, because the entire movement approves of it by silence.
I saw the videos.
Multiple cases.
I don't know, because I saw the videos of like Andy. How do you pronounce his last name? Andy. And I don't know how to pronounce his last name. No. Okay, no.
Andy, no.
Yeah. So I saw the video of people beating him. I saw a few people trying to block it. So there was a few Antifa people there trying to like stop people from beating him. So I wouldn't be like, I hate the whole entire movement, but I wouldn't do guilt by association just because you belong to this movement. Therefore, you're for violence. By the way, Vikram is pointing out that he's saying Three Arrow is not really far left. I didn't say far left. I said really left. In fact, I do follow a lot of right wing and a lot of left wing sources and a lot of Islamic sources and anti-Islamic sources. And when it comes to not far left, really left sources, Three Arrows is one of my favorites. So there's
nothing liberal about Antifa. It's just a full of shit movement.
Three Arrows
it's a domestic
terror.
It's absolutely insane. Noam Chomsky, who's as left as it gets, he called them a gift to the right.
Who?
Every time they pull something stupid like beating up Andy, who I completely disagree with, but I like the guy. I've met him in person. Like I know him. He's a good guy. I don't think he's a fascist. I don't think he's anything like that. I just think he's
great. He's a great person.
Yeah, he's a good person, and
who are we talking about?
Andy, the guy who got beat up. Like I know him. Alishba knows him.
Yeah, but I like him, but I don't want to go around and saying he's a good person because it makes it seem like we are against the violence because he's a good person. Like people, like a lot of people say, I love.
So let me.
I know you're not. I know you're not.
Bullshit, but still.
I know you're not like when I went and defended Andy and his, like, a lot of people saying he was a dick. Some people saying no, he's a great guy. I don't want to talk about whether he was a good guy or he's a shitty guy. It is irrelevant. When it comes to violence, it doesn't matter how big of a dick you are or how great of a person you are. You just condemn violence outright. It's irrelevant what kind of a person you are.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's like the Charlie Hebdo thing all over again. Anyway, guys, we're out of time. We're overtime. Okay. We're gonna go. It's a past midnight where I am, so I'm gonna stick to my time zone here. But that was really good, man. It was really good to finally meet you in I guess, in person as this gets. So thank you, everybody. Seek out the Apostate Prophet. He's unfortunately been banned on Instagram, and I loved all your Instagram posts, which sucks. But but you're still on YouTube, you're still on Twitter, you're still everywhere else. So and good luck with your book and good luck with everything. And we'd love to have you back on.
Love everybody.
I would love to come back.
Yeah,
thank
please
you
come back.
so much for having me.
Thank you for being here, by the way. It's always fun. Sorry if I interrupted you. I know I did too many times.
Oh no, it was good. We always.
I won't forgive you.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, you're sympathetic to Christianity. Yeah, Christianity. You have to forgive me. You have no choice.
Okay, that was a low fucking blow. Terrible.
Anyways,
okay.
love it. Everybody in the live chat, thank you so much, patrons, for supporting us. We really, really, really appreciate your support. Anyways, I'm gonna stop.
Okay, guys. Good night, everybody.
The secular jihadists have been made possible thanks to the Illuminati and the covert support of Israel and the CIA. That's what we have been told, but we haven't received our checks yet. If you like what we do, please support us. Share the podcast with your friends. Write and tweet us with topic and guest suggestions. Or head over to secularjihadist.com and give $1 or more for exclusive access to live video. Have your questions read and answered on the air, and more. Till next time, may the flying spaghetti monster be with you.